I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
Transform your sales strategy, embrace LinkedIn and AI. The AI is everywhere. I heard a poem, AI, it's off to work. I go, it doesn't rhyme, but it certainly does make a lot of sense. I'm excited to be here today with my guest, who's an expert in a number of things, and you'll get to find out more about him shortly. As always, though, if you're here watching us live, thank you for being here. And if you can't be here live catching the replay, that's also greatly appreciated. Remember, #replay. Let us know where you're watching us from. If you have a question at any time or a comment, some feedback, welcome it all. And if you think there's somebody you'd like to share this with, by all means, do that and subscribe to our YouTube channel. In the meantime, I have a shameless plug to help me keep this show on the go, and here it comes. Welcome back. Yeah, it actually is free. Just for watching here, go to my website, coachphil.ca. On the top right-hand corner, I guess the other right-hand corner, is a button. Click on that, and you could get an idea where you're at, get a finger on the pulse where you're at in terms of business. You might find that your score is you're right on target, nothing to do except for stay the course and carry on. Or you might be somebody who recognizes there's an area of room for improvement. 30-minute complimentary coaching call goes along with that. All you have to do is mention that you saw it on the Business Renovator. And again, it's complimentary. Nobody will sell you anything. If it makes sense to work with us, great. If not, if you want to get an answer to a question, by all means do that. So I did say transform your sales strategy and embrace LinkedIn and AI. It's a topic of has a lot of energy around it. So I have a guest on today. Bob Woods was one of the first people on LinkedIn, believe it or not, literally was one of the first people. He joined in December of 2002, and when LinkedIn was just a few months old, and he's never looked back. An award-winning salesperson, Bob has utilized LinkedIn and social selling even before social selling was even a thing. He has trained and coached sales professionals around the world at companies big and small to effectively use LinkedIn and other tools to start sales conversations with qualified buyers. And that's not that connect and pitch. They do it totally different. And I really like what him and his company do together. So specific companies where he has trained salespeople, teams include Experian, Penn Mutual, State Street, Pfizer, Trios. He's got a whole bunch of names in there I've never heard of. I know this one. And UPS, among others. And recently, when you'll see it on his LinkedIn page once we get there, he's also a top voice. I'll get him to tell us a little bit about that when he comes on. He is the CMO and LinkedIn strategist at Social Sales Link. His name, as I mentioned before, is Bob Woods. I'm going to bring him up because he's the guy with all the knowledge around LinkedIn for sure.
Yeah. I like to think so, at least. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate you having me on.
I'm glad you took the invitation and was able to work with my schedule because of I had to shift it up. So your flexibility is greatly appreciated.
No worries.
And here we are, and we're going to talk about a lot of things around AI. But I did give you a little bit of a plug as a top voice, like some of those famous people. Like, is one a night?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm up there, although I definitely put up there in air quotes. But people like Richard Branson and Tony Robbins and Jack Welch, and it seems like though that especially lately, LinkedIn is starting to bring in other voices who don't necessarily have the megaphone that a Tony Robbins does, but but are definitely promoting more diverse voices, not only in terms of diversity in the way that we all think of it, but in terms of like not only different subjects, but also a little more niche type of subjects too. Which I mean, there's no way that I'm going to have the reach of a Tony Robbins, but I don't want that reach either. I want to reach my audience of sales professionals as well as marketing professionals who support salespeople as well as entrepreneurs and coaches and people like that as well to use LinkedIn and AI more effectively to start those all important first sales conversations without being salesy and definitely what you mentioned before about the connect and pitch is definitely something we do not do because as we say connect and pitch is a bait and switch.
Just digitally. Yeah, that's
Yes.
why the experience I've had with working with you and your company um, is all that. And I quote you guys a lot when I'm talking to other people and encourage them to go check you guys out. I don't know if they do or not because I don't chase them, but I do invite them to go check out what you guys are all about to learn how to do that, how to network with on a digital platform in the same way you would in the personal platform if you're any good at it. It's not like going around the room. Here's my card. Here's my card. Here's my card. Here's my card. We don't do that, right?
No,
It's
we
like
don't. No, we don't. That is definitely a bad thing. And I think you really hit the nail on the head when you say, treat that digital type of networking just like you would in a real life setting. And that's so important because you don't want to be that person who you just described. You drop in the middle of a conversation, "Hey, here's my business card. Hope to do business with you." That finger snapping, very stereotypical type of salesperson. Because as we all know, the OG stereotypical sales methods don't work anymore. I mean, we're in a totally different world where you have to network, you have to provide value even before you know that they are looking for your services. And that's one of the reasons why we love LinkedIn so much is because though especially the way that we train people, we help them provide that value, provide education, get people thinking differently about their situation um so that when they do need that help and they think, "Oh yeah, I know that gal. I know that guy because I've been following them on LinkedIn." Maybe they'll reach out to connect and you can definitely start a sales a conversation, not necessarily even a sales conversation, but just a conversation because you are networking at the same time. So, connect and pitch is a bait and switch. You definitely don't want to, you want to learn about them. You want to learn about their problem, their situation before you even think about pitching your own product because you're trying to lead to your solution, not with your solution.
you said a word in there that numerous times it just makes me like on a blackboard experience,
Mhm.
and that's the word pitch. There's a
Yeah.
there's a game in the U.S. that's really popular called baseball, and they have this guy called a pitcher, and he does
Mhm.
something or she does something depending on what
Mhm.
league it's in.
Yep.
And what they do is they throw the ball across the plate so that you can hit it, right?
Yep.
No, they throw the ball across the
Yep.
plate so you can't hit it,
But you
and
don't
it's
hit.
called a
Strike.
pitch,
Oh, or oh, yeah. Oh, I
right?
see what you're saying, yeah.
Or I'm
You
yeah,
wanna
no,
throw strikes.
right? And they have all sorts of different kind of curveballs, fastball, and some other
Yep.
loopy balls. Well, whenever I hear people say, "You gotta hear my pitch," well, that makes me think that you're trying to deceive me, and maybe you're not. But a perception is reality. And so if we show up in a pitchy sort of way, which is what you guys don't do. When I got first introduced to Bryn way back when, and COVID was in its infancy, I was hanging out with a fellow by the name of Jeffrey Gittimer, and she
Mhm.
showed up and shared some stuff. And I thought, wow, she's just like a modern day kind of philosophy individual like a Dale Carnegie. It's first
Yeah.
working to develop the relationship. It's not to
Yep.
show up and say, see what I've got. And I'm quite well versed with Carnegie because I graduated as a Carnegie grad in a couple of their programs, and I liked it so much. I didn't buy the company, but I went to work with a local franchise and helped
Mm.
other people show up in a way that they're giving value. And that's what I love about what your company's all about, is how you teach how to do that. I'm just looking at the clock, and
Yeah.
time just races so fast. And
It does, doesn't it?
the thing I hate about my show is it ends. So we haven't even talked about we've talked about LinkedIn a little bit, but now I
A little
want
bit.
to move over to the AI side of it. I know I use AI. I actually talked about it a little bit in a conference that I was at with our company in Chicago this
Mhm.
year. And we were different levels of different understanding. Some people are afraid of it. Some people embrace it. Some people are kind of wanting to dab their toe into it, but they're a little reluctant.
Yeah.
I use a variety of different things. The Xerox of the AI world is ChatGPT. That's the one that most people know. If you think of a tissue, we call it Kleenex. If you make
Right.
a photocopy, it's a Xerox.
Mhm.
So ChatGPT has got that preeminent position. There's a
Yep.
lot of wonderful tools that are equivalent or better than some things that ChatGPT does. And ChatGPT, I can't even say it all the time. It
Yeah.
is a powerful tool. So how are you utilizing your favorites to help you help your clients?
Yeah, so we are basically a ChatGPT shop. We are looking at other tools actively right now in terms of expanding on what ChatGPT does. Now, ChatGPT just came out with a whole new version literally Monday.
Like 4.0 or
So
something?
yeah, yeah, 4.0, and it's the letter O and not the number
No.
0.
Yeah.
So, which is confusing. I don't know why they did
That's what
that,
I
but
thought
anyhow.
too.
But, yeah, so I use mainly ChatGPT only because I've become pretty good at prompting. And what prompting is basically a conversation that you have with ChatGPT or anyone. And let's just say from here on out, just like Kleenex slash nose tissue or whatever you want to say, I'm
Right.
just going to use ChatGPT in reference to all generative AI type platforms. So what is important about prompting is 2 things. One, you really have to be as specific as you can about it in terms of exactly what you wanna get out of it. If you want it to think like someone else, a lot of times you'll hear people say, "I want a piece of marketing, copy that sounds like it would come from Seth Godin. My audience is X, Y, and Z." So your audience means your audience of prospects at that point. So you really have to be specific about your tone, your voice, what you're looking to get out of it, all of those types of things. So the other thing that you have to realize is that you're not what's called one shot prompting. So you're not going to be able to get everything that you want out of that initial prompt. Sometimes you can, most of the times, though, it's not gonna happen, and it's usually because the person who's putting it in is not providing the exact type of information that a ChatGPT needs to really do what you wanna do. Because ChatGPT wants to help you out. You just have to guide it in the right direction. So you really have to think of it as the chat in ChatGPT. You are chatting with the AI. You are talking to the AI. You are guiding it by being specific to output exactly what it is that you want out of it. So those are like the 2 biggest things, like overarching things. And then there are all types of strategies that go underneath that. But if you're like thinking of a really 30,000 foot or maybe even orbital view of how to use it, be specific, chat with it,
Yeah,
talk with.
and one thing I caution everybody is don't take it verbatim. I'm using my AI tools that I use. I use Copy.AI and I use a couple of others to make sure my
Mhm.
grammar's right. And if I get stuck on something, and then I check for plagiarism, and
Yep.
that's all AI based. So it
Yeah.
saves me a ton of time. And way back when somebody told me, Phil, you got a lot of great knowledge in your head. You should write a book. I was not writing a book. Well, you should write some articles. Sure, I don't like writing. And since
Mhm.
that time, encouraged I used to write manually. I get a compelling idea and then I'd write it. But then I struggled with it when AI came out. It made me a writing, but I had created a writing mastermind buddy. And to do what you just said is to give it the prompts. And if you don't like what it's about, so right now I'm writing a series of articles for a newsletter based
Mhm.
on my conversations with a deceased mentor who I studied since 1990. And it was my conversations with Lou. So it's Coach Phil and Lou Tice. And we're having this
Mhm.
conversation. And you got to be careful because some of the things the AI came up with was telling me, I remember when I was in a Black Hawk helicopter and I was riding with and it wasn't me, it was Lou. So I needed to go
Yeah.
in there and edit it to make sure it was authentic and truthful.
Yeah.
And when I get stuck on stuff, just like you're saying, you give it a prompt, you give it an ask, you're chatting with it. And if you don't like what's about, or if it doesn't quite sound right, go back and get it to refine it and tell it specifically what you're looking for. And it comes back with some amazing things. As long as you're uh, open to being, what's the word? Flexible, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, flexibility is definitely key when it comes to actually doing the chatting part. So, like I said before, there are all types of things involved with just the chatting part, but you hit on something that I think is crucial when it comes to using AI, especially us as salespeople, as marketers, as business people, and that's authenticity.
Mm,
So, I don't know about you, but nowadays I can read a piece of copy and just look at it and go, "Oh my god, that's ChatGPT. That is generative AI." That's because a lot of people are viewing ChatGPT as an easy button. They just put stuff in, ChatGPT spits it out, we copy and paste. I don't view it as an easy button. I view it as an easier button and also a time saving button. But you still need to put time into it to make sure that what you're actually taking from ChatGPT or whatever into whatever it is you're doing is authentic. So you really, besides everything that you just said about, making sure it's grammatically correct and making sure it's not plagiarized and making sure that it's correct. I mean, because ChatGPT doesn't get it right all the time. So I
no,
mean,
it
you have to keep that in mind too. One of the biggest things that you have to do is not only just read the copy, but something that I advise everyone that I actually take from my old, days when I was in broadcast television, you have to read it out loud.
yes,
If you don't read it out loud, you're not gonna catch the things that don't, A, just sound good to the ear in general, and B, if you're writing in your voice and if you're writing as if it's coming from you, if you're stumbling on things because you normally don't talk about that, you should probably rewrite it. There
absolutely.
are ways to get your voice into ChatGPT so that its output gets to be like 80 to 90% of you, but it's still up to you to take it from that 80, 90% up to that full 100% so it is authentically coming from you. ChatGPT can still save you time in doing that, but you still have to take that little bit of extra effort to make sure that it's truly sounding like it's coming from you because people are smart, especially if you're in B2B sales or even, high ticket professional B2C sales. They're going to see that it's AI. AI doesn't feel authentic. So you really need to make sure that it sounds like you. And let's just say, for example, you do a copy and paste thing, and then someone really likes your content, and they're like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, I will talk to this person." You get on the phone with them, or you get in a Zoom meeting, and they sound totally different the from what the Chat GPT content sounds like. You've already lost them because then you sound inauthentic because you don't sound like the content that you have out there.
Right. So I'm just looking at the clock, and it runs so
The
fast. I
clock
want
on
to
the
make
wall.
so one of the things where we wanted to make sure I wanted to make sure, and I'm pretty sure you do. Didn't ask you this, but I presumed you would, and that is how are you leveraging AI with your company for your clients, um, with social sales link? What are you? What's the? Yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, so we actually have a couple of different things that are quite frankly in beta right now because everything,
Mhm.
if someone comes to you with an AI product and they're like, "Oh, it's totally ready to go." It ain't ready to go, especially because as we just saw, if you follow AI on Monday with the big OpenAI ChatGPT announcement about all the improvements and everything else, all that stuff is changing, and most every AI kind of add-on product like Copy.AI and things like that, generally speaking, and I'm not speaking to Copy.AI specifically at this point, but generally speaking, they depend on ChatGPT or they depend on Claude or whatever to actually do the heavy
Mhm.
lifting. So, all of that stuff changes all the time. So, with that in mind, though, what we do is we provide services to help people do exactly what I said, and that's make sure that their profiles are up to snuff and actually help them develop AI prompts that help them make sure that that it's not that a profile, for example, is not only done in the way that we think it should be for B2B salesperson people, but it also sounds like them. We take that through to the copy that they develop, whether it's for a post, whether it's for a LinkedIn article, ebook that they might be developing. We make sure that number one, they're getting good quality content out of it, but number two, making sure that it's authentic. We even do that with, like, videos for, like, video scripting and things like that, and then we can even put the videos together for them once they've been on camera and have done their thing as well. So we're really trying to take AI to help it be easier for us, but also to be easier for the client, but yet at the same time, be able to 10x, 20x a piece of content so that we can distribute it in many different ways and doing it in an efficient way. That's one of the big areas that AI can help you out is with content and really piecing it up in different ways. So you got a piece for LinkedIn, you've got a piece for Instagram if you want it, you got a piece for X, Twitter, or what the hell ever you want to call it. Um, and just rinse and repeat and just keep doing that all the time so that you are providing the content, so you are providing that value, and make sure that you are providing value. This isn't just about pitching essentially, but AI can help you drive that value. Yeah,
That's
I know.
not Twitter. That's non-pitching. This is a non-pitch zone, right? So that's
Yeah,
one thing you guys are authentic about, and Bryn's adamant about it, and gets in your face about it.
we
And I
are.
love her for that
Yep.
because we speak the same language there. It's like Bob Burke says, show up with value in his book, The Go Giver. It's all about leading with value, right? And
Yeah,
it's creating
it's a
content.
mindset.
It's a yeah,
It's a
right?
mindset. I
And
mean,
a
you have to
philosophy.
get out of that pitch. Get out of that pitch mindset and, stop talking about how you help people and just help people.
That's right. Be a servant.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
life's really
A
all
servant
about.
mentality.
Show up
Yep.
and, yeah, show up and serve. So one of the things I do with it is I've been doing this show, well, since the pandemic, May, I believe it was May 2020. And
Mhm.
what I've learned along the way is every master was once a disaster. And I'm getting busier with life and busier with my business, and um, it's all good. I'm not complaining. So
Good.
how do you become more efficient? And you said that word here. And what I've been able to do is leverage my buddy AI to help me create posts and content, introductions, bios, all that stuff for
Yeah.
this show. It's been
Yeah.
amazing, a time saver.
Yeah.
It's still written in my voice. I do edit and fix things up, and generally, for the most part, share the what I do with all of my guests because many of them are not prepared like you with a
Mhm.
one pager. I just want interesting people like you. You're a higher level interesting person, but some
Oh,
people are interesting that haven't done the one page get on a show
right.
thing. And so I ask them for a bio, 3 to 4 sentences, and then with my help, with my creativeness and my AI buddy, we put it in
Mhm.
there, run it through it, and if I change it so it feels like I'm saying it like you're talking about, then I send it to my guests to vet to make sure there's no fibs, lies, or inaccuracies. They send it back. I make the changes if needed, and then away we go. And I do that in a fraction of the time as if I was trying to wait for them to send me something. I have one I'm still waiting for. So today I will be creating it and sending it to them for approval. They're on the show next Wednesday, and they haven't done a damn thing. It's not that they don't want to; they have other things to do. So
Right.
I'm gonna help them. I'm gonna add that value.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and it's actually interesting to hear what you do for show prep because we have a podcast too, Making Sales Social,
Right.
available
Yeah.
everywhere. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Say that again.
But
I didn't get it.
Making Sales Social. So, but in all seriousness, when I'm prepping for the interview part, I do much of the same thing that you do. About the only thing that I don't do that I may actually start doing. So I learned something today.
Yay.
Um, um, what I do is I normally build in about 5 minutes before we start recording and actually just go over everything with them in terms of the questions that I'm asking and everything else, because as I tell them, this is not a gotcha thing. This is, I want to have fun. I want it to I want it so that the audience that's listening is getting value out of it without feeling uncomfortable. So I just kind of go through things rather than sending it ahead of time. I may send it ahead of time to a couple of people and see if that works better than what I'm doing now. Although what I'm doing now works, that may be a more efficient way to do it, to actually send it to them ahead of time.
There were, yeah, and I don't even do that, as you know. You got nothing from me other than a few pieces of correspondence and nudges to give
Yep.
you stuff. Other than that, I don't premeditate. Like I was saying before, I have a framework. It starts and
Right.
and it ends, and we have a conversation in between.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I tell my guests too. I mean, I do have questions, but at the same time, it's questions and yet a framework. And I tell them I may have other questions based on what you say, because what I do is true conversations, just like we're having right now too. And I
Yeah,
say, and sometimes I may skip entire questions. So I mean, it's definitely a free flowing conversation, but at least there's a structure there. It just sounds like that I'm probably a little more structured than you are, but we're pretty much along the same lines when it comes to how we do shows.
there was a couple of guests where my inner critic got a little bit hijacked. And I thought, oh, I better do more preparation. I don't know why I couldn't be my authentic self. I don't know why I thought I had to do it. So where I'm going with this craziness, I went, well, if I had X person on the show, what questions should I ask them? Who was that prompt for? AI.
Mhm.
So I've used it for that. Now, did I actually use the questions? No, but it was a comfort zone for me.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what you can use AI for.
Yeah, it is just incredible, and I would say that, you know, there are a lot of people out there who are still afraid of it
Yeah.
and think it's gonna take their jobs. And you know something? Depending on the level that you're at a company, I'm just talking wide here, not sales and marketing. I mean, like any type of business whatsoever. If you're at a if you're at a level where you think that AI might affect you, it probably will affect you somehow. Maybe not a job loss, but something else potentially. What you need to do is you need to start learning about it. You need to really start thinking, okay, if I were bringing in AI for my job, what would I do? And then, something, quite frankly, ask it. Ask ChatGPT
Yeah.
just like these types of questions, and then say, okay, how do I prevent that? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn about AI to help me more effectively in my position? Because it's all going to be about education.
Yeah.
Remember when the internet first came out? Did you ever imagine in like 1995, 1996 that we would even be doing this right now?
No, I had no idea, and I worked with a company that had a hands I worked for AT&T, and T, and
Uh-huh.
and the internet came from Bell way
Yep.
back when, right? So, no,
Yep.
I had inroads, and I had no idea this was coming. I heard
Yeah.
of intranet with companies I worked with, but that's not internet.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and I was actually back in journalism still. I was out broadcast, but I was actually working for an internet-based service that covered IT. And I gotta tell you, the stuff that we're doing now, even though I was talking with smart people like you all the time back then, I still would have never imagined all the stuff that we're doing today. Would just take AI out of it, just with the internet in general. So
I
now we've got AI, which is much more accelerated because, quite frankly, we have the internet. We also have huge amounts of computing power that we didn't have back then. People are like, why is all this stuff happening so quick? It's because we have the technology now that makes it go so quick that we didn't have back in the late 90s and even, very, very, very early 2000s. That's why it's moving so fast.
I agree. I was introduced to AI in 1990.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a box. I worked with Unisys. I was
Okay.
and they had this box, and on the outside of it said artificial intelligence. And I was just getting into the technology side and learning things, and I thought that
Mhm.
what I was learning was leading edge, which it sort of kind of was. But
Yeah.
this AI it reminded me of my first experience with a what was the first Apple that you typed in your message and you got a prompt on the screen, and then you played video games. Wink, wink. There was no video.
Oh,
It was all text based. Was it Apple?
yeah, so like on an Apple II or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what
Mhm.
this Unisys AI system reminded me of, because you didn't there was no video at that time. It was
Right.
you asked it questions that come back with an answer. But
Mhm.
it pales in comparison to what we're experiencing today. There's
Yeah, even today, and I
oh,
mean, the future, God, I just
I know,
no idea.
I know.
No idea, but it's gonna be amazing, and I mean, and no joke, you have to be on top of this if you feel like AI is gonna affect you and your job, you need to get on top of it so that you can rock with the changes.
So I wanna hijack, or not hij I don't wanna hijack, I wanna hitch onto what you were talking about there for those that might be afraid of it, and if they think their position is at risk. And then I like what you were talking about, the ask AI about your business, or what should I do, or
Mhm.
where is it gonna go? Treat it as a navigational partner as to what your future could look like, and
Yep.
ask it for what should I learn? What does AI see for the future of the industry? Does it? And then you can decide if you want to stay that course or upgrade your skills for something different, and can ask AI what would the something different be, and see what it comes up with. Again, don't trust it 100%, but it'll
Right.
give you some insights that you may not have happened. I really see it as a mastermind buddy. That's how I treat it. And as a result of that, the two minds together, as Napoleon Hill said, gives you three. Because if you use improv, the yes and game, if
Yep.
you've ever done, well, I know you guys have done it because you've had an improv guy come into some of your training. And I'm a big
Mhm.
fan of that in the process of being creative, because it
Mhm.
gives you that openness to possibility. So if you embrace AI with an openness to possibilities and play the yes and game, you'd be amazed what positive possibilities will come up for you. So I really like that idea of you saying ask AI for help with
Yeah.
your goal.
100%, 100%, and the whole improv thing, I never thought of it in those terms before, but that's brilliant. I mean, that's an excellent way to think of it.
So I know we have other things to do in our world. So what I wanted to do is introduce people to places where they can find you. So I'm going to bring them up. The first one will be your LinkedIn profile.
That's
And I'm
me.
going to make it really easy for people to find you, because look at that. It's life size, bigger than the tiny little area up
Yep,
here.
yep. Yeah, it's real easy to find. Just linkedin.com/n/Bob Woods. That is me.
So they can go here and follow or connect with you.
They can follow the or I think it's set to connect right now. So yeah, I mean, follow or connect, either or, that's fine.
And you can see
I'm
some.
told just mention this show in your, uh, connect request if you know how to do that, and yeah, but that's me right there.
Yeah, lots of great content and value within your site itself, on your LinkedIn site. But wait, like ShamWow would say, there's more.
Well, wait, there's more.
And that is, if they wanted to get into this space, this is your business site,
Yep.
where the training and expertise is. You have a group coaching program, among other things. By all means, give yourself a 30-second plug, a radio spot plug on where we have video though.
Yeah, so I mean, we help individuals as well as companies leverage LinkedIn and now, uh artificial intelligence, generative AI, to help them start sales conversations without being salesy. And we're calling this whole thing the new era of sales because it really is a new era of sales that we are just starting. But it is going to be an era, whatever. We
Yeah,
should pick
not error, error.
yeah.
It won't be a mistake.
It will not be a well, yeah, it's definitely not gonna be a mistake because it ain't going away, folks.
That's
It
right.
ain't going away.
And it wouldn't be a mistake to find out more about what you and your company do either, because I know you guys a little bit, and I've had some great lessons from you along the way as well.
Yeah, I'm
Speaking
glad to hear that, appreciate that.
speaking of lessons, what's one nugget or lesson you would like to impart upon our audience?
Yeah, so, I think I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier, and that's just with any output, especially more creative stuff, when it comes to AI. When it comes to AI and your output. Obviously, if you're like using it for coding or to output like a spreadsheet or something like that, this ain't gonna apply. But if you're doing more creative types of things where you need either your voice or you're doing something for someone else's voice, make sure you read it out loud. I cannot emphasize that enough. And if you're developing something for someone else, get it to them and require them to read it out loud so that they're comfortable with it and they're like, "Yeah, this sounds like something that I could, that I would have said essentially." Because if you sound like AI to someone else, they're either just gonna go away because they don't trust it, or if somehow you dupe them and then they start talking to you and you sound totally different from your content, that's a huge red flag as well.
Yeah, great advice. Appreciate that. And as I say, I'm just getting a habit now. I'm saying it. One of the things I hate about my show is it ends.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because there's
I
lots of
get
things
that.
we could talk about.
Yep.
I had to shut myself down so that we could keep this within 30 some odd minutes. So
Yep.
thanks for being on the show. And
Thank
remember,
you.
hang out. There's free coffee and donuts in the green room. Eh,
Donuts. Bad carbs, I love it. That's great.
Yeah, and there is no carbs. They're carbless donuts. But anyway,
Wow!
I
How
know.
did you do that?
AI. Anyway, so hang out
That's
and
great.
enjoy coffee and donuts. So I'll be with you shortly.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man. Well, AI, I don't know how to turn that into that crazy little poem, but AI is here to stay. As Bob was saying, embrace it. Don't be afraid of it. Leverage it and be authentic and be genuine, not disingenuous, because people will pick up on that right away. And I like to remind us all to be wonderful because the you in wonderful represents you. So you're unique and you're wonderful. So I ask you to continue being your own wonderful self. Till next time, I'm Coach Phil, and we'll see you on another episode of the Business Renovator.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.